We are very excited to bring you this installment of Mount Rushmore series. We've got the Detroit Tigers today, and just to give you an idea of how we're going to do this, we've got some team information, and then Brad and I each picked 4 names that you cannot tell the story of the Detroit Tigers without mentioning. According to us, we have not shared our information with one another. This is a blind reveal between the both of us, and that always proves really fun, but also it's healthy that Brad's not here this time.
Yeah.
He
We might
almost
need to
died when we
finish
did
these up
LA.
before the next time I come out and see you, Brig. Because I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if I can survive another one of those.
Yeah. So we thought we'd start it off today before we get to the names and the team and all that. Brad wants to share with us how they got the team name. Where
Okay,
did it come from, Brad?
So first off, this is something we haven't done this in a while, and I was like, you know what better way to do this than while we're doing Mount Rushmore? It only makes sense to me. So here we go. The origin for the Detroit Tigers name. This is according to teamnameorigin.com. It said that Detroit was originally a minor league team, and they were known as the Wolverines, which I thought was neat because Brig, that
neat.
is the moniker of our school that we went to, our alma mater.
Correct.
Says that during that time, they were also sometimes referred to as the Tigers, which was also a nickname of one of Michigan's oldest military units, which is the 425th National Guard Infantry Regiment, and that spent some time fighting in the Civil War as well as the Spanish-American contest, is what it says. Now, the team in 1900 asked the Guard permission to take on the name the Tigers, and they were given that name in 1900, and it's been there ever since.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting that they pulled that from the local National Guard. Very cool.
I love that. Very cool. So obviously we know the team name. The Detroit Tigers been around since 1901 in this official named capacity. There's 121 current seasons. And I say current because it's still going so far. Their record overall is 9,446 wins to 9,311 losses. That puts them at a 504 win-loss percentage in the entire history of the franchise. They've been to the playoffs 16 times. They've won 11 pennants and 4 World Series championships. They have 10 retired numbers if you count Jackie Robinson, which we do every time.
We do. Always. Absolutely.
By the way. So of those 10 names, some
real
of them
quick,
are on my list.
I was like mind blown actually looking at the Tigers. Like it's one of those teams that I knew they'd been around forever, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they only have 4 World Series championships in 121 years, that kind of got to me a little bit. But at the other hand, I was kind of like, well, they haven't won one since what was it, 1977? I think is what it was. No, 84. 1984.
Okay, I was gonna
they
say
won a World Series, but since then, like they've had some really, really bad years. Like I specifically remember the 2003 season where they won 43 games. And you know what, Brig?
Yeah.
I was at one of those 43 games.
Were you?
They beat the Mariners in Seattle.
Oh.
And it was funny because they were so bad, like just absolutely horrendous. And one of the outfielders was getting into it with one of the fans. I was out, like waiting for batting practice balls or whatever. And this guy's getting into it with one of the outfielders. And he's like, dude, just go over and catch the ball. It doesn't matter what you say or what you do. You guys are going to lose anyway. And they went and they won the game.
Oh, my God.
And when he said that, I mean, as a 17-year-old, I was just like, dude, don't say that. Like, don't say that. You just don't,
You just don't. So
that has sat with me forever.
Right. I'm sure it has. So the 11 appearances have been chronologically 1907, 1908, 1909. That's impressive. Then we got 1934, 1935, 1940, and 45. Then we have 1968, 84, 2006, and 2012 is the last time they've appeared in a World Series.
Get swept in 2012.
Which they lost handily.
Yes.
There you go. I was going to say it's too bad, but I mean, somebody else had to lose. So somebody won, somebody lost. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's interesting looking at the Tigers' history. Like I said, and in our lifetime hasn't been great. But prior to us, it was very good, very strong. But Brig, do you want to go ahead and lead us off with your first?
Let me just say this before I do,
candidate?
but yes, I'd
Okay.
be happy to lead us off. But first, let me say that some amazing players have come out of Detroit.
Yes.
We, not just historically, but I mean, even in present day, it kind of feels a little bit like we used to think of the Rays, where we're like, man, you remember when they were on the Rays or the Marlins team or whatever, and now look at them. Now they're Hall of Famers or whatever. It kind of feels like that. So,
well, in that case, if you just want to name two of them, we've got Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer.
I was just going to say that those are great examples, and they're probably the easiest ones to draw from right now. So, let me just lead us off with my first one. I'm going to go with first baseman.
Okay.
He spent 12 seasons with the Tigers. He started 1,269 games. He had a lifetime 313 average with the team, 306 total home runs, and 1,274 RBIs. He's been a, what do you call him, an all-star, and he was previously known as Hammer and Hank Greenberg. Hank Greenberg. Yep.
I was not expecting that.
His first full season with the Tigers was in 1933. He hit 328 with 36 home runs in 1935 and 168 RBIs, and he won the American League MVP. And he also led them to a World Series championship that year. He drove in 139 runs or more 5 different times. 184 RBIs in 1937. That's the third most in MLB history.
That's awesome. Well, and in the era in the 30s, you don't think of a guy like Hank Greenberg as being the guy who led the league in home runs. But he did 3 times.
Right.
In 35, 38, and again in 40. Actually, sorry, 4 times, because again in 46, he hit 44.
Oh, he did it again
second
in
to last
46.
season. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
The cool thing about Hank Greenberg, like some of the other players at that time, he missed, I think, was it 3 seasons for military service? I think it was 3 seasons he missed.
Yeah. It said that he missed 42, 43, and 44. It says U.S. Army Air Forces is where he was.
Yeah. So there you go. So, Hank Greenberg, everyone. That's my number 1 pick.
That's solid. That was, honestly, when you were talking about a first baseman, I thought you were going to go somewhere else, but we'll get there later.
Well, and I failed to mention that he's been to 2 World Series, 5-time All-Star, 2-time MVP, and he is in the Hall of Fame. Sorry about that. His career WAR is 55.5. It's
pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. All right, my first one, I'm going to go with a manager here.
Whoa.
A manager who, this is one of the first people I was kind of, I don't know if like introduced to as far as like legendary managers and players, but Sparky Anderson.
Yes.
So he spent a total of 17 years managing the Tigers. And the thing that this is what's crazy to me. So he managed the Reds for several years, for the first 9 years that he was a manager.
Yeah.
He started at age 36 and he managed until he was 61. Now I was doing the math on that. Like that's like the longevity of that. That would be the same as like Rocco Baldelli managing until he's 61. Because
real.
he started managing at about 36. I think it was 36. And if you think about it, like my son is going to know who Rocco Baldelli is.
Yeah.
And his kids are going to know who Rocco Baldelli is.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly how this was with Sparky Anderson, is that I specifically remember sitting there reading a book about baseball history with my grandma. And she said, "That's Sparky Anderson." She's the one who told me about who he was.
Amazing.
It's truly amazing. But he actually was at the helm when the Tigers won their last World Series in 1984. He led them to a 104-58 record that season. Very good, very
Solid.
good record. Great manager.
Incredible.
And he is in the Hall of Fame. Had 3 total World Series, like I said, 1 with the Tigers. So,
2-time
like
manager of the year.
Yeah, and I feel like he definitely needs to be recognized as
part of the framework. Yeah.
You can't tell the story without Sparky Anderson.
Do you know? I agree with you. That's a great pick. I did not pick Sparky Anderson. So let me just say that my favorite thing about Sparky Anderson is his nickname. And it's not Sparky. That's his real name.
What's his nickname?
Captain Hook.
Captain Hook. Oh my goodness. How did I not know that?
I don't know, but the pirate in me has always loved that.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And you know what though? Fun fact. So I had a little stuffed dog growing up, and I actually named him Sparky because of Sparky Anderson. Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, random fact there for you.
That's great.
Anyway, all right, who you got next, Brig?
This is so hard. I mean, it was easy at first, but I mean, it's just hard because. Okay, I'm gonna go with an outfielder because I have to.
Okay.
22 seasons with the Tigers. Come on, now. With that alone, right? 22 seasons.
Yeah.
Successful ones. 2,834 games played. Batting average 297. 399 home runs with 1,582 RBIs. They call him Mr. Tiger. His name is Al Kaline.
I have him on my list too.
Yes. How do you get a guy whose name is Mr. Tiger? He has to be on the list.
Yes. Well, we didn't put Mr. Mariner on the Mariners list, so.
Sorry.
Neither one of us did, though, so I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. Al Kaline, obviously, he's in the Hall of Fame. This dude, listen to this. He is an 18-time All-Star. 18 times. He was the 1968 World Series. He has 10 Golden Gloves and a batting title. Oh, my gosh. He played right field and first base, throw right, field right, or bats right, excuse me, whatever. His career WAR, 92.8. Oh, that's just staggering.
It is.
Mr. Tiger.
So the biggest thing with me with Al Kaline. So first off, for a long time, I thought it was Al Kaline,
or Colleen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. His last name was Kaline, and his parents named him Al because like an alkaline battery or an alkaline metal, you know. Anyway.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, that didn't put that.
Yeah, together. That's why I thought that it was alkaline. But then I heard Al Kaline. I was like, okay. Less funny. But anyway, no, the longevity, though, is what gets me. The fact that the dude was called up when he was 18 years old and then stuck with the franchise until he was 39 in 1974. That is a long time to be with one team. That is a whole lot of loyalty on both sides, but it helps when you have a 39-year-old who's making the All-Star team. And whether that was one last hurrah for Mr. Tiger or not, I don't know. I wasn't alive. But the fact that he still made an All-Star team legitimately at age 36 says something for his ability and what he was putting up. He led the league in doubles in 1961. I'm a doubles guy. I love that. It's fantastic. He also led the league in batting average in his third season, his second full season at age 20. He hit 340.
Wow.
We don't see that anymore hardly.
No.
Like, that's
the
amazing.
other thing, he was number 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. And, I mean, he was in the top 10 MVP every year he wasn't in the MVP race.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like, you look at his accolades on Baseball Together. I wish we had a database on Baseball Reference. I'll put one together for you, Brig. How's that? On Baseball Reference, and every single year it's All-Star MVP voting, and Gold Glove every single year. So
the season he played the fewest games was his 18-year-old season, his very first one, which they don't even consider his full season because he's only played 30 games. But then after that, it's over 100 games every year until the second to last year he played. He was in 91 games, and then he comes back his age 39 year at 147 games. So, I mean, that is a tough dude. That's a lot of baseball.
Yeah, that's some longevity. But no, it really, what it comes down to me, though, is that anybody who's a generation above us and you talk to him about the Tigers, Al Kaline comes up.
Yep.
He's the guy.
Yep.
So we absolutely have to have him on the Mount Rushmore there.
Hundo.
Okay, I
Love it.
have 2 left plus an honorable mention. Let's go ahead and take a break. We come back, we'll go through the rest. We'll finish it off.
Sounds
How's
great.
that? Welcome back, baseball family. And like we said before, we're going through our Detroit Tigers Mount Rushmore. We both have 2 left, and we thought we'd share honorable mentions too, because we assumed going into this there was going to be some overlap. There's always at least one. We're thinking there's probably going to be more going through here. But I want to go through and lead us off here with our next one. So this is a player who has not spent their entire career with the Detroit Tigers, but has spent most of it with the Tigers. Started off with the Florida Marlins, Florida at the time,
Get out of
as a
town.
first baseman, third baseman, left fielder. Did you remember this guy played left field? Sometimes that escapes me.
Heck no. No.
But anyway, so this is 6'4", 249-pounder, age 38, Miguel Cabrera. Now,
Miggy!
Miggy comes in with 2 MVPs, a triple crown of all things to add to his resume.
Oh, yeah.
An 11-time All-Star, and 7 of those have come as a Detroit Tiger from 2010 all the way through 2016. Not to say, in my opinion, that he has not been worthy, but first base has been a pretty deep position since then.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we've seen a natural decline. And this is one of the things too, is that he came into the league kind of at the tail end of the steroid era, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And has never shown any signs of it. Has just been a solid, very, very good ball player. One of the best hitters in the league for his entire career. He's one of those guys where if you need a double to win the game for you, you want him up to the plate, right? That if he doesn't, and I feel like he's another one of those guys where you can be like, if Miggy doesn't say it is, if Miggy says it's not a strike, it's not a strike.
Oh, dude knows the strike zone better than anybody.
Yeah, he's got outstanding command of the strike zone. More accolades, like I said, 2003 World Series winner, but that was with the Marlins, so that doesn't really count. Towards this, 7-time Silver Slugger, 4-time batting title, and 2 Major League Baseball Player of the Year awards. He has been the anchor on the Tigers' best teams of this century.
Yeah.
He has also been the anchor on the Tigers' worst teams, the one bright spot for those fans to look to. And it's really kind of upsetting for me, at least, that he's going into his 39-year-old season, and the Tigers are just now starting to tick up, right?
Yeah.
They look like they're going to start winning again.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be there when they do end up winning the division in a year or two. He's not going to be there to help lead the team on a potential World Series run. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if it did, he's not going to be there for it because he'll likely be retired. But the steadiness of Miguel Cabrera at that position for that team is what they've certainly needed. They've traded away, like we talked about, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander. Those are the guys I think of off
Christian
the top of my head.
Yelich. No.
No,
I'm sorry.
that was the Marlins.
Florida. Yeah.
But
My bad.
But there have been plenty of guys who have been traded away, and he's been the constant. And we talked about Scott Boras earlier. He used to be represented by Scott Boras. I don't know what happened there with that breakup, but that's not something you see very often.
You're right.
I wouldn't think that Scott Boras would be willing to drop him either, because he would still be a high money client. He'd still be a big earner
for sure.
So
yeah.
To me, that says a little bit about his personality as well.
The thing is we saw 130 games out of him last year.
Uh-huh.
And he played 57 of the 60 games in 2020, and then 136 games in 2019. Now, 2018, he must have got injured or something. He got 38 games that season, but then he goes right back up to the top of he's in every single game. 2,587 games over a 19-year career. This doesn't appear to be a man who's slowing down at all.
Which is funny to say because I feel like at his age, we're just kind of like assuming,
Totally.
But if you look at his batting average, it has dropped. I mean, he was over 300 every year from 2005 2008, he dipped down just below, but he went back up over 300 in 2009. And then he has been under 300 since 2017. He was 249, 299, just barely in 2018. But last year he was a 256 hitter, which is like the new 280.
I was just going to say that it's like, man, but that's okay.
But he led the league
Not great, but it's all right.
in average for 4 years in his peak. He led the league in home runs in 2012. He hit 44, and then he led the league in doubles in 2011 and 2014 with 48 and 52 respectively.
Yeah.
So his peak though was absolutely outstanding. He's still a great hitter. He's still a guy I would want up to play for me at any given moment that I would need a big hit.
Totally.
Because you're confident he's going to get it for you. And like I said, I don't feel like you can again tell the story of the Tigers without Miguel Cabrera. He's kind of the modern day hero, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's not going to be as romanticized as the guys before him, but I think eventually down the road he will be.
Oh, I agree with you, which is why he gets my honorable mention.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I just wanted to put him in that honorable mention slot because of the romanticism, but also because he's still playing. And I like to give the Mount Rushmore slots to guys who aren't still playing if I can, if there's a way to justify it, and there is in this case. So one day in the next handful of years, we're going to have to start adding a fifth name to Mount Rushmore because it's getting really hard. It just is.
That's not how it works, though, Brig.
It is. It would have to be 3 years, Brad.
It would have to be some other thing besides Mount Rushmore because Mount Rushmore only has 4.
I'm going to do some research, and we'll call it something else.
Okay, very good, excellent. Okay. All right, who you got next?
All right, I gotta save my humdinger for the end. So I'm gonna go with. Ooh, which one should I do first? Oh, this is so hard because they're both great. Dang. All right, I'm going to go with the easy one. I'm going to go with the one that we have to talk about because you can't not talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, you with me?
Yeah.
22 seasons with the Tigers. He started in 2,806 games. Lifetime batting average of 368. 111 total home runs. I love that, by the way. RBIs, 1,800. That's why I love that, by the way. And scored 2,086 runs. He is absolutely and unequivocally in the Hall of Fame. He might actually be the greatest baseball player of all time. His career WAR is 151.5. Yeah, sit down. I said that. 151.5 career WAR. The Georgia Peach, Ty Cobb. Like I said, he's obviously in the Hall of Fame. He's got an MVP. He also has a Triple Crown. Okay, get off my jock, Miggy. Not everybody. You're not the only one. But he has 12. He's a 12-time batting title award winner. Oh man.
Well, and let's be honest. I think that the only reason he doesn't have more accolades is because they just weren't around.
Yeah, precisely.
Right. Like you look at his stats and like caught stealing, there's nothing from 1905 to 1911, and there's 34 and 12, nothing in 13, and then there's 3 more years where he had some, and there's nothing from 17 to 19. And I don't think it's because he wasn't caught stealing. They put a big fat 0 if that was the case. I think it's just because they're like, no, I'm going to keep track of it this year. It doesn't matter that big. It's not that big of a deal.
No. He just stole bases like crazy.
He did, and I love it. It's fantastic.
I mean, the guy has 212 career stolen bases, and he led the league 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
His highest is 38, or excuse me, 96. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong category. Oh, he led the league 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 897 stolen bases. Pardon me, I was way wrong. 96 stolen bases. His peak year.
Well, so I love this. In 1915, when he stole 96 bases, he was also caught for a league high 38, which is fantastic to me because it means the dude just kept running.
He just kept going.
They were like, care. Oh, just take it, whatever.
And you know what? He slid into that bag with spikes up every time because he doesn't care about you
or your kids. And I don't
or
love
your
that just because
kids,
I've had
right?
that happen before, and that hurts real bad.
No, I'm not saying it's a good thing. We're not celebrating that at all. I'm just saying he played the way he played. It was all or nothing all the time, and I think that's awesome.
Well, and he
You know,
led the
also he.
league
Go ahead.
in batting average 12 times.
Yeah,
That to me is a
12
big deal.
out of a 24-year season or
Yeah,
career.
he hit 400 twice.
I told you.
1911 and 1912.
You know what else he did?
What's that?
He said that Shoeless Joe was the greatest outfielder of all time.
It's a shame he's not in the Hall of Fame, huh?
I know. I'm just saying. I just have to plug that. But I'm telling you, this guy you could say Ty Cobb is the greatest baseball player who ever lived.
You could. And one of the things that I've noticed, because I was going back through looking at old baseball pictures. This is months ago. I was doing some TikTok stuff, and I found it was golly, what was his name? The guy who's known for the baseball card. Why can't I think right now of his name?
Dang. Yeah. Yep, I know who you're talking about.
But anyway, it was a picture of him, and then there was one next to it of Ty Cobb, and the dudes were huge. Like even by today's standards, as like they look like they were juicing before juicing was even a thing, because they were enormous. And it's like the fact that Ty Cobb was able to run the bases the way that he was, being that big, like that says something to me about either the competition or just the fact that he was a freak athlete in a day where there weren't very many of them.
I think he was a freak athlete, honestly, and I think he could have been successful in any number of things.
Honus Wagner.
There
Totally drew a blank on that, because Honus Wagner was another really big dude.
Huge dude.
Honus Wagner had like those big like farm grandpa hands, like they could swing that log of a bat they had at the time.
There are logs. Yeah. I got one right here. This is how wide. This is a replica Babe Ruth bat for those of you watching on YouTube, and this is how wide the handle is. This is a more modern turning model. You can see the differences there.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I remember one time in high school we played in this wood bat tournament, and they nobody had wood bats. So they brought in like a bag of them, and I remember picking up like 3 of them, being like, "Golly, is this like Babe Ruth's bat? I could barely get my hands around them."
Yeah, it's awesome.
They're like, and then they found the one that could fit everybody. It felt like holding a twig, and of course, I go out and use it the first time, and I broke it, and everybody got mad at me. There's the only one we can hold. There's the only one small enough. Like, well, I apologize.
and then fast forward 30 years or whatever, and we end up in the batting cage, and you found the smallest bat you could possibly find, and you broke that one too, Brad.
I did break it, yeah. I can't lay off the inside pitch. I can't help it.
You can't
have it since it was like almost 20 years since I've actually been in a batting cage. I'm not going to be able to get the barrel around like I think I can. Like, let's
for sure. Me neither. We have footage of this, by the way. If any of you want to see it, we might have to put it up somewhere.
That's true. We should. It's just been sitting on my computer for months now.
Me too. Speaking of old baseball bats and turning models, you can go to the Louisville Slugger Bat Factory in Louisville, Kentucky, and they have a batting cage set up in the back of the museum where you can swing old turning models, and they've got them. They've got them there. They're replicas, obviously, but they just take the same type of wood. They turn it the same way it would have been turned for Ty Cobb. And I think his is there. Babe Ruth's is there. Lou Gehrig's, I think, is there. Anyway, all these famous play. I think Kirby Puckett's is there. Anyway, they got all these famous ball players, turning models in the batting cage, and you can sit there and try and throw a freaking tree at a baseball.
That's exactly what it would be too.
It's a lot of fun. I've done it like 4 or 5 times, and
that's awesome.
It never gets old. Yeah,
very cool. That's rad. Okay, so that's everybody I had on my list, Brig. Honestly, like,
it is
Al Kaline and Ty Cobb. Yeah, I had both of them on my list. So let me go ahead and do my honorable mention, and then you have one more, right?
I have one more. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My honorable mention. I got to go with Lou Whitaker.
Okay.
So Lou Whitaker, like, he doesn't have like quite the accolades the rest of the guys do. But for
Sure.
some reason, for me, I don't know why, honestly. Because he ended his career in 1995. He did play 84 games that year for the Tigers, but he played his entire 19-year career with the Tigers. He's on
Yeah.
the 1984 World Series team. He's not a Hall of Famer. He did win Rookie of the Year. He's a 5-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger Award. I don't know why, but every time I think of like Tigers in years past, Lou Whitaker comes to mind.
Hmm.
So I felt like because of that, I had to put him on the list. I did read an article that said that in 2020 they were going to retire his number one. He wore 43-1 with the Tigers,
Wow.
and but I didn't see it on the list on Baseball Reference, so I'm not sure what exactly happened. I didn't see an article about like why they did or didn't. I don't know if maybe it's because of COVID they didn't do it and they just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
But his number one is going to be in like their Ring of Honor and be retired eventually
Cool.
because he did play a significant role with that team. And really, like the only thing he ever led the league in was he played 109 games in 1981.
Yeah, but you got to love the solid everyday player like that, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
our kind of bag, right? And he
Yeah,
must have had brought a lot to the clubhouse with those X factor dynamics we like to talk about.
I
I
would
think
think so.
the hard part about Sweet Lou Whitaker is that you can't talk about him without talking about Alan Trammell, because that
Mm-hmm.
was like the dynamic duo that and I just think you can't give two guys one slot,
Right,
but if you
right.
could, they'd be on there.
Yeah, they would be. And Alan Trammell has said that he believes that Lou Whitaker belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So and I don't think the Culture Club is even going to get him there. But like I said, I don't know why, but for some reason he's somebody who I associate with the Tigers, and that's why I would put him as in my consideration for being on the Mount Rushmore, but it doesn't
Yeah.
quite make it because he doesn't have like the accolades and the numbers of everybody else.
That's great.
So
That's great.
there you go.
I love it. All right, my last pick, since my honorable mention is already burned, I'm going to go with Ernie Harwell. Ernie Harwell was a broadcaster for the Detroit Tigers from 1960 to 1991, and then again 93 to 2002. And when he took a break after the 91 season, fans were outraged. Like literally, they were up in arms over this thing that, excuse me, this thing that had happened where the radio station he worked for in the ball club had some issues and he just got caught in the crossfire, as far as my research indicates. But he's also got his number / initials, because that's how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his initials retired in Detroit, and he is heavily beloved and favored and honored in every way you can think of it. He was a part of one of their, obviously their World Series run. He's been involved in every single freaking baseball game almost ever played in Detroit. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like because he is the bridge between the fan experience and the games that's playing on the field,
Mm-hmm.
He deserves a spot as much as Vin Scully with the Dodgers does.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ernie Harwell gets my last spot.
That's a great one. I actually looked into him to see if I would put him on there because I knew that they had I off the top of my head I couldn't think of who their iconic broadcaster was, but then I looked up Ernie Harwell, and I was like, yeah, he's definitely was another one of my honorable mentions because he does deserve a place there. When you mentioned that he has his initials retired on Baseball Reference, they have Ty Cobb's initials retired too because he was pre-jersey number days.
That's right.
So
He really was.
that goes way back. Interesting things to think about there. But
Ernie
baseball family.
Harwell. Hold
Oh,
on
sorry.
one
Go ahead.
second. The very famous broadcast by NBC, the shot heard around the world. That's Ernie Harwell.
There you go.
So if you're familiar with the shot heard around the world, it was for a 1951 National League tiebreaker series, Dodgers and Giants. Bobby Thompson's shot heard around the world. That was called by Ernie Harwell.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.